It was a bright Saturday afternoon in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Birds chirped, lawns were neatly trimmed, and everything seemed peaceful until that peace was shattered in an instant. Marcus, a respected father and hardworking man, had just dropped his 17-year-old daughter, Kayla, at her best friend's house inside the neighborhood community. Kayla was smart, confident, and a top student, with dreams of joining the FBI someday. What Marcus didn't know was that, within minutes, his daughter would be staring down the barrel of a gun, not from a criminal, but from someone who claimed to be security. This was a gated community, run by a homeowners association. They had their own so-called security patrol, not real police, but men who acted like they were. One of them, a middle-aged man named Brent, had a reputation for being aggressive, especially towards people of color. He saw himself as the protector of the neighborhood, but in reality, he was just a bully with a badge that held no real authority. As Kayla walked up the driveway of her friend's house, Brent pulled up in his golf cart, blocking her path. He didn't ask who she was visiting. He didn't greet her politely. Instead, his first words were sharp and laced with suspicion. "What are you doing here? This is private property." Kayla calmly explained she was visiting her friend, who lived in the very house they were standing in front of. But Brent wasn't interested in listening. His eyes narrowed and his hand rested on his hip, where a pistol sat in a holster. She noticed it instantly, and her stomach tightened. Brent began interrogating her like she was a suspect. "Where's your ID? What's your full name? Who exactly are you meeting?" Kayla tried to answer, but he kept interrupting. Then, without warning, Brent stepped off the cart and pulled the gun halfway from his holster. His tone turned threatening. "Don't move. I'm calling the police. You don't belong here." Kayla froze. She wasn't just scared, she was shocked. This wasn't just harassment, it was an armed threat. Inside the house, her friend saw what was happening through the window and ran to get her mom. Her friend's mother came rushing out, yelling at Brent to put the gun away, insisting that Kayla was invited. But Brent ignored her. He held the gun lower, but still ready, muttering something about keeping the neighborhood safe. What Brent didn't know, and what he was about to regret, was that Kayla's mother, Special Agent Danielle Roberts, was not just any law enforcement officer. She was an FBI tactical commander, one of the most highly trained professionals in the country, skilled in firearms, crisis negotiation, and high-risk operations. And she was just 5 minutes away. Kayla's friend's mom quickly dialed Danielle, telling her exactly what was happening. Danielle's voice on the other end was calm but ice-cold. "I'm on my way." "Keep him there." When Danielle arrived, she didn't storm in shouting. She stepped out of her black SUV wearing plain clothes. But her presence was commanding. Brent saw her approaching and barked, "Ma'am, stay back. This is a security matter." Danielle looked him directly in the eye and replied, "You just pulled a weapon on my daughter. You are seconds away from being in handcuffs." Brent scoffed, "I'm neighborhood security. I have the right to—" Danielle cut him off, flipping open her badge with the bold gold letters, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Her voice hardened. "You are not law enforcement. You are an armed civilian, and you just threatened a minor without cause. That's a federal offense when you brandish a weapon." Brent's face went pale. He stammered, I thought she was trespassing." Danielle stepped closer, her voice low but firm. "You thought wrong? You didn't ask? You didn't verify? You didn't even give her a chance to speak? You saw a young black girl in this neighborhood and decided she didn't belong. That is profiling. That is harassment. And that is dangerous." By now, real police officers had arrived, called not by Brent, but by Danielle. She briefed them, quickly and clearly, pointing out Brent's weapon and explaining the incident. The officers took Brent's firearm, his badge, and his so-called authority on the spot. He tried to defend himself, but the more he spoke, the worse it sounded. Witnesses confirmed Kayla's story. Danielle turned to her daughter, putting a steadying hand on her shoulder. "You okay, baby?" Kayla nodded, though her eyes were still wide. Danielle smiled gently. "You did nothing wrong, remember that." Brent was cited for brandishing a weapon and was banned from working any security job in the county. The HOA had no choice but to issue a public apology to Kayla and her family, though Danielle made it clear that an apology wasn't enough. She pushed for mandatory training for all neighborhood security and even offered to run part of it herself, teaching them about de-escalation, lawful engagement, and the dangers of racial bias. In the weeks that followed, word spread quickly. Brent's reputation as the tough guy dissolved overnight. Neighbors who once saw him as a protector now saw him for what he really was, a man who let fear and prejudice dictate his actions. As for Kayla, she gained an even deeper respect for her mother's work. She had seen firsthand how authority can be abused and how real justice comes from those who protect with honor, not ego. She told her mom, "I still want to join the FBI, but when I do, I'll make sure no one ever goes through what I did." Danielle smiled, proud but also reminded of the fight ahead. "Good," she said, "because the world needs more people who know the difference between power and responsibility." And that day, a dangerous man lost his weapon, a young woman kept her dignity, and a neighborhood learned a hard truth, all because an FBI tactical commander refused to let fear win over justice.